Hey guys, welcome back in SS class. Today we are going to continue with the same lesson. With the new lesson. Lesson number 2, Kings and the Kingdoms of the Early Medieval Period. Here we are going to learn about the kings of the early medieval period. The kings is Rajputas, Rashtrakutas, then Cholas, then Palas, and then Chauhanas. Okay, so etc. And we will see about the invaders also, like Mahmud of Ghazni, and after that we have Muhammad Ghori. Okay, this kind of invaders also we will learn in detail how these kings run their kingdoms and how they ruled over each other. Okay, so in the early lesson or in the previous lesson we had seen about the kings and their kingdoms and their economical developments, their political developments, their rules and their regulations, and their religious groups and social groups, about that. And yes, of course, and cartography also. And we had seen also that after the death of Harshvardhana, the people or the regional kingdoms or the kings of the regional kingdoms started battling with each other to expand their kingdoms. Why they wanted to expand their kingdoms? Just because there can be fertility of the land, there can be the wealth of the kingdom. Okay, and there can be the well armed people of the kingdom. So these are the reasons why the kingdoms wanted to expand their kingdoms. And some of the reason would be to take away the wealth also. So it cannot be the same that the kings wanted to rule over the kingdom, as we can get an example of Mahmud Ghori or Muhammad Ghazni. Mahmud Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. So they did not want to expand their kingdom, or they did not want to rule over India, but actually they wanted the wealth of India, the wealth of people, the wealth of economic condition. Okay, so now let us see about that in detail. Okay, here we are going to learn about the kings and the kingdoms of early medieval period. Okay, now let's see, but before that I suggest you to sit with the book. Okay, and one by one I will read the topic, and after that I will explain you the topics. Okay, now let's start. So let's start chapter number 2, Kings and Kingdoms of the Early Medieval Period. Here what are we going to learn? We are going to learn important kingdoms in the Indian subcontinent during 700 to 1200. Then the tripartite struggles and administration of the regional kingdoms. After that, invasion by Mahmud of Ghazni and Muhammad of Ghor. Okay, and the battle of Terrain, the Chola kingdom, and case study of Cholas. Now here we have first introduction. In introduction we have the 7th century in India saw the rise of various regional powers. Okay, here we can see the various regional powers of some of the kings and kingdoms, some of the big landlords or warriors chiefs who were acknowledged by the existing kings as their subordinates. Subordinates means what? Subordinates means lower in the state or lower in the position. So as their subordinate called Samantas gained power. Now here we have Samantas. Samantas were the person or the warriors who used to fight the battle for other kings. Okay, so here Samantas also gained power. They gradually began to carve out kingdoms for themselves and attacked others to gain more area under their rule. Here Samantas also gradually began to carve out their kingdoms. They started expanding their kingdoms. Okay, they also wanted to expand their kingdoms, so they started attacking others to gain more area under their rule. And after that we have the Rashtrakutas. Rashtrakutas were subordinates to the Chalukyas. Now here we have Rashtrakuta. The Rashtrakuta were subordinate to the Chalukyas. Okay. However, in the mid 8th century, a Rashtrakuta chief named Dantidurga overthrew his Chalukya overlord and established himself as the king of Deccan. Now here we have Rashtrakutas and Chalukyas. Rashtrakutas were subordinate. Now what is the meaning of subordinate? Subordinate means lower in position. Okay, so here the Rashtrakutas were lower in position than Chalukyas, but later on, if we see in mid 8th century, a Rashtrakoot chief named Danti Durga, he defeated Chalukya, and after that he established himself as the king of Deccan. Now here men belonging to other profession also began establishing kingdom for themselves. For example, Mayurashrama from Kadamba dynasty and Harichandra from Gurjar Pratihara dynasty. They were actually Brahman who established kingdoms in Karnataka and Rajasthan respectively. These kingdoms were not as vast as the empires created by the Mauryas or the Guptas. They were involved in constant warfare. Some of the important dynasties of the period were Rajputas, Gurjaras, Pratihars, Pals, Rashtrakutas and Cholas. So, in this introduction, we got to know about the 7th century. It saw the regional power. Okay, some of the kingdoms, some of the kings who became the powerful, and one of them was Samantas. Samantas were the warriors who would help the kings to fight the battle. Okay, after Samantas, we have Rashtrakutas. Rashtrakutas were actually subordinate to the Chalukyas. Okay, but somehow a chief Rashtrakoot whose name was Danti Durga, he overthrew his Chalukyan overlord and established his kingdom. Okay, and after that some of the men belonging to other profession also, they also started expanding their kingdom. Okay, in them we have Brahmins. Okay, we have Brahmins of Mayurashramas, and after that Mayurashrama we have the Gurjar Pratihara. These ones, they were actually Brahmins by profession and by caste, but they also ruled over the kingdoms of particular region. Okay, one of them was Karnataka and another was the Rajasthan. Okay, after then we have seen that Harichandra from the Brahmin caste, one was Harichandra and another was Gurjar Pratihara, and after that these kingdoms were not vast. They were actually not huge as Mauryas and Guptas. Why? Because Mauryas and Guptas actually began the war. They were constantly involved in the war, and they used to rule, or they used to win the lands. And in that we had seen that the important dynasties or important kingdoms of some of the kings were the Rajputas, Gurjar Pratiharas, Palas, Rashtrakutas and Cholas. Now here these kingdoms we will see in detail. So in that we are going to learn about the Rajputs, the Pals, the Gurjar Pratihars, the Rashtrakuts. Okay, after that we have the Muhammad of Gaur and Muhammad Ghazni. Okay, after we will see in detail about them. So here one of the important dynasties is the Rajputs. The Rajputs, the word Rajput comes from the Sanskrit and which means Rajputra. This is the Sanskrit word which means Rajputra. Okay. So here son of king, the meaning of the Rajputra is son of the king. The term is applied to a group of warriors who claim to belong to the Kshatriya caste. Clans claiming to be Rajputs were spread out over north and northwestern India. So this is the Sanskrit word Rajputra. Okay, Rajputra means the son of the king, and this term is applied for the group of warriors, means the people who always battle or who always fight for the sake of the people's life, or to, we can say that, to save the lives of the people or any other creature. Okay, clans claiming to be Rajputs were spread out over north and northwestern India, and their kingdoms were spreaded in north and northwestern India. The Rajputs claimed to be either Suryavanshi, which meant descendant of the sun, or Chandravanshi, which meant descendants of the moon. Some clans also claimed that they emerged from a sacred fire, or we can say they belong to the fire family that is called Agnikul. Where and how the Rajputs originated remains shrouded in mystery. Many believe that the Rajputs were the descendants of various tribes from Central Asia such as Shakas, Kushanas, Hans and Gurjaras. These tribes married into the local communities. Major changes took place in the Indian subcontinent after the death of Harshvardhana and the decline of Magad kingdom. The Gurjar Pratiharas, a Rajput clan, rose to prominence in North India. Later on, various Rajput clans such as Tomars, Chamhanas, or we can say Chauhans, Chandelas, Gadavlas, Parmars, Gahadavlas, Parmars and Solanki began to build their own kingdom and gained prosperity. So here we have the word Rajputs. What is the meaning of Rajput? Rajput has a Sanskrit word that means Rajputra. Rajputra means the king, son of king. Okay, and here the term is applied to a group of warriors, the people who were warriors, and this is the name given to that group. Now here we they are belong to Kshatriya. Kshatriya means the people who fight the battles. Okay, here we have three groups: Suryavanshi, Chandravanshi and Agnikula. Suryavanshi, it is said that the Suryavanshi are the descendants of the sun. They were the descendant of the sun, and after that we have Chandravanshi. Chandravanshi, that means the descendant of the moon. After that we have Agnikula, the people who were said to be the family of fire. Okay, so here we have Suryavanshi, Chandravanshi and Agnikula. Now Rajput's origin was shrouded in mystery. Now it was still the mystery that where the Rajputs were from or where they came from. Here descendants of various tribes from Central Asia. Now it is said that the Kshatriyas, they came from the various tribes from Central Asia. They are said as Shakas, Kushanas, Hans and Gurjaras. Okay, so here major changes took place after the death of Harshvardhana and the decline of Magad kingdom. The Gurjar Pratihars, a Rajput clan, this is also a Rajput clan, that is Gurjar Pratihar. Okay, the Rajput clan rose to prominence in North. Major changes took place after the death of Harshvardhana and the decline of Magad kingdom. Okay, when after the death of Harshvardhana and decline of Magad kingdom, there were major changes in India in the early medieval period. Okay, and after that we can say the Gurjar Pratihars, the Rajput clan. Now here we have one more Rajput clan, that is Gurjar Pratihars. Okay, rose to prominence in North India. Now in North India, they Gurjar Pratihars, they rule over the North India, and later on various Rajput clans such as Tomars. Then after we have Chahmanas, or we can say Chauhans. After that we have Chandelas, then Gahadwalas, Parmars and Solankis began to build their own kingdom and gain their prosperity. Okay, after that we have also some of the Rajputs, that Tomars, Chauhans, Parmars, then Gahadwalas, and after that Solankis. These also the kingdoms, they also set their prosperity. Okay, now here next we have the Pals. Okay, now about the Pals we will see in detail.